Have you ever got 10 o'clock in the morning and gone, God, I am so exhausted. I don't have any more capacity left in my brain. Or got home from work and argued about what's for dinner. Or maybe you're on dinner tonight and you open the fridge and you know there's lots of food in there, but what's in there doesn't translate into a meal inside your head. If you've experienced any of those things, there's a pretty good chance that you're having some days when you're suffering from decision fatigue. Hello and welcome back to the Moxie Movement. I'm super stoked to have you here, and I really want to dive a little deeper into this whole decision fatigue thing that shows up, because this was something that I suffered from a lot. It caused a lot of arguments in our house. With my husband, we share the load pretty evenly, pretty fairly. And often when I would come home from running the businesses during the day, I'd get home and he would say, what do you want for dinner? Let me be clear. He's not even asking, can you cook dinner? What are you going to make for dinner? He's not asking any of those questions. Just, what do you want for dinner? And I would just be like, I can't make another freaking decision. I'm so tired. I'm so exhausted. Don't make me choose. And it took a long time for me to actually do a little bit of reading about this, do a little bit of research and figure out that this is actually a thing that happens. Just like the rest of our body, our brains, or the parts of our brains that make decisions, get tired. And I hadn't really put two and two together, but as a woman who also happens to run a business, who also now had a young child and a husband, I made a lot of decisions in a day. A lot. And if I talk with my women now inside the programs, I'm always like, so you think about from the moment you wake up first thing in the morning till even if you just till you went to your desk and sat down to do work, think about all the choices that you have to sift through and make, not just for you, but for everyone else in your household. We haven't even started the business side of things yet. When you start writing them down, it's actually an exercise I get people to do often. I'm like, okay, cool, let's write down all the things that you had to decide between the moment the alarm first went off to when you sat down to start doing work in the business, and just see how many decisions you're making before you even get started on the heavy lifting in your work. And people are like, oh my goodness, Sarah, there's like hundreds and hundreds. And the more humans you are facilitating out the door in the morning, probably the more decisions you're having to make. And then, because we're business owners, we dive into the work and we're making decisions for ourselves. We're making decisions for our team. We're helping our clients or our customers make decisions. We've got suppliers that we have to make decisions for. And you can start to see how we are using up all of the points when it comes to making decisions pretty early, pretty soon. If you think about it, there's a couple of different analogies I've heard to describe this. Is if we have a muscle, like if we take our biceps, I don't have super big guns, but if you take your bicep and you pick up a dumbbell, a heavy dumbbell, and you do one, like that feels reasonably easy. You're like, the muscle's pretty strong, it can do that. But if I keep doing that over and over again, eventually I'm going to fatigue that muscle and not be able to do another bicep curl. Your brain, the decision-making part of your brain is exactly the same. It makes many great decisions, aligned decisions, well thought through, rational decisions for you every day, and then it gets tired. The challenge being that we can't stop making decisions. We can't go, oh, we just won't eat dinner tonight because I can't make a decision. Oh, we won't push go on that customer's project because I can't make another decision. Like, that's just not a thing. We still have to make the decision. What happens is, rather than making the best decision for you and your business and your customers and clients, or maybe for your team, your brain makes the one that feels the easiest, that has the least consequences. I studied this quite extensively with parole boards in the States. Top tip, if you're ever going to get arrested, go to jail and come up in front of a parole board, you want to be the first person that comes up at the start of the day, because the parole board first person had pretty good chance of actually getting parole and being out, because we had all of our decision-making power. We could look at all the information and make a really great decision that was a great outcome for everyone involved. As the day went by, your chances got pretty slim. Just before lunch, they're almost down to zero. After a little bit of food, decision-making power comes up again, and some people were getting out. And then we would get into the afternoons, and zero chance again of us getting parole if we came up before a parole board. What they studied and looked at was the decision with the least number of possible negative consequences was to put someone back inside. The brain went, oh, this is the safest, easiest decision, not necessarily the best one, just the safest and the easiest. If you think about how you're using your decision-making powers in your business and in your life, if you need to make good decisions that are great for you in the moment and great for you in the future, that are helping you to build the business that serves your life, that's going to help you flip the stats in terms of making the right amount of profit and salary in your business, you don't want to be making the easiest or the safest decision. You want to be making the best decision. You're like, okay, awesome, Sarah. Thank you for telling me I'm rubbish at making decisions when I get tired. I already knew that, but what do I do about it? And I hear you. It's really nice to have the problems pointed out, but let's solve it. What we need to think about is, what are we actually using those decision-making points for? If I said you have 100 decision points today, and you've got to get from waking up in the morning to going to bed at night, you want to think about, what am I going to use those points for? Now, some of us are using them for, how many times should I snooze this alarm when I wake up in the morning? Every time you do that, that's a decision-making point. Some of us are using it for, what should I wear today? What earrings, what shoes? Decision-making points. Some of us are using it for, what should I feed the kids today? What should I dress the kids in today? What time should we leave the house this morning? You're definitely using it when you get into work, because when you open your emails, every one of those emails becomes a series of decisions. Should I look at it? Should I answer it? Should I deal with it now? Should I deal with it later? Should someone else deal with it? All a series of decisions. If you had a look at your day and went, how can I reduce the decision load on a day-by-day basis so that I can keep those 100 points for the most significant, important decisions in my life? Like, where should I invest my money? How am I going to use my time this week? What am I going to do with this particular team member who's performing amazingly? How am I going to make sure that they know they're performing really well? What am I going to do with this team member that's not performing well? And how can I help them to be better and meet my expectations? You're going to want to use your decision-making power for those strategies, for that thinking, not for, should I put the pink earrings or the purple earrings on? In my world, what we think about is, with decision-making fatigue, it's closely aligned to that feeling of overwhelm. And the solutions for both of them are really about reducing the number of choices we make. We want to think about, what are the things that can happen on automatic, not completely automatic. We don't have a piece of technology that's going to make decisions for us, but where can we reduce the decisions so that it's always the same? Things like, as simple as turning off the snooze function on your alarm, so that when the alarm goes off, you don't have a choice but to get up when the alarm goes off. You just get up, and that's just removed that decision. If you have a way of making sure that the lunches and the breakfasts pretty much always the same or similar, you don't have to make so many decisions. That will reduce your decision fatigue. If you think about putting off things like emails and social media notifications until after lunch and use your morning for making the big decisions, you will find that you get better traction in your business than trying to do it earlier in the day. I want you to think about a couple of things. One, what is the decision that I can make today that will remove all other decisions? People do it with their clothing. Like, I'm always going to wear black on Monday, pink on Tuesday, purple on Thursday. You might just decide to wear black all the time. That's reducing the options. You might look at what you always eat for breakfast and what you always eat for lunch and just eat the same thing every day. Yes, I know it might sound like it might get boring, and it's going to help with the decision fatigue. You might look at the way that you structure your days and start thinking about pre-deciding how you're going to invest your time. You might decide, like we do in our world, that we're not going to look at emails until after lunch because we want to use our good decision-making powers for important decisions, not the emails. We want to think about how can we pre-decide what we're doing, because that takes a decision off our lap. We use the power hour where we decide on a Thursday morning, how am I going to invest my time next week? When I get up on Monday and I start working, I just do what the calendar tells me. I'm not perfect. I don't do it 100% of the time, but I get, pretty close. 80% of the time, I do what the calendar tells me, and I don't have to think and I don't have to make a decision. We also got rid of the dinner problem. We started using an automated process with food box people, the menu service, make the decision for us and send us dinner. We don't have to make that choice. We just pull the box out and make what's in it. Where can you outsource the decisions so that you just have to do what you're told? You can keep your decision-making points for the things that matter to you, your team, your customers, and more importantly, for your family, so that you can be home when you want to be home, so that you can build the life that you want to build and have the success you deserve in your business. Because if your brain's tired, you're not making great decisions, and the compounding impact of decision fatigue over and over again means that the easy, soft, least consequences decisions over time, as they layer up, will potentially cause you to not get the outcomes you want. It's like saying yes when you really mean no. In the moment, it's easier because there's no confrontation and you don't make anyone feel bad. But further down the track, that means you've got to do some more work that you probably didn't want to do. Whereas if you held on to your decision-making power, you could say no in that moment, nicely, kindly, politely, and hold on to your time in the future, which would be a much better outcome. Have a think about, where can I do less decision-making, the small decisions that I do every day, how can I make them in bulk and get back some power into my head so that I can make some great decisions in my business and build the business that I really want. Because the only way we're going to shatter through these limits is having great decision-making power, and then we can build the legacy that we can be proud of. Till next time, go and be the glorious exceptions.